ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। Hरि Om. Salutations to all. So we saw the verses on contemplation, and then yesterday 266th verse we saw that having got this human body, we have a choice either to enter the Buddhi Gufa and go beyond the cycle of birth and death by realizing that pure consciousness that shines there as the self, or we again come back into the body Gufa, which is the Deha Gufa, which is the womb of the mother. This whole process of sadhana, Vedantic sadhana, is to help us to turn introverted, to realize the self within, and that self within is the self in all. Now, what is that which is not allowing this knowledge to apply into our action and transform our sense of finite self into the realization of the infinite? That is the vasanas. So this next portion from 267 to 276 is about giving up the vasanas. Let us see 267. ज्ञाते वस्तुन्यपि बलवती वासनानादिरेषा कर्ता भोक्ताप्यहमिति दृढायास्य संसार हेतुः प्रत्यग्दृष्ट्यात्मनि निवसता सापनेया प्रयत्नात् मुक्तिं प्राहुस्तदिह मुनयो वासनातानवं यत्। ज्ञाते वस्तुनि अपि. Even though knowing the truth, vastu means the self or the truth here. Jnate vastuni api. Now see, the translation here says after realization of the truth, but that translation is not exact there. Jnate here means after, even after knowing, after study of the scripture also. It is not realization of the truth. This is intellectual knowledge. That's what it means. Jnate vastuni api. Even if I know, even if I've studied about the self, balavati vasana, the vasana is very, very powerful and strong. Why? Anadiresha. It is beginningless, meaning it is from a long time. So many lives we have gone through and accumulated these vasanas. Now, how do we accumulate vasana? When any action is done with ego and egocentric desires, it leaves the impression. Now, these vasanas are accumulated only in human life. In the other lives, we don't accumulate vasanas. In the other lives, the process of nature takes care and a person comes to evolve through the natural process in the biological evolution till one comes to the first human birth. There, because of the buddhi, we have a choice, we have self-awareness, we become aware. So that's what the next one says. Karta bhokta api aham iti dridha yasya samsara hetu. This sense of I arises in this human birth, human life, when the sense of Jiva Bhav comes, I, Mr. So and so, till the human body that we don't have, the conscious sense of self-awareness. We have instinctive understanding of who am I. Like an animal knows instinctively, it is a deer, let us say, we know that I am a deer and this is the herd of deer. But intelligently self-aware as a human being is, that animal doesn't have. So because of this aham not being there, karta is not there, bhokta is not there, as we have. Kartritva and bhoktritva. So doership and enjoyership. The animal goes through only it is a bhoga yoni. So it will only go through, exhaust the results of its karma. Again, when I'm saying it's karma, it means only the karma collected in human births and it goes back to animal. Otherwise, it is just going to go through the biological process of evolution. It does not have karta, it does not have bhokta bhav, so karma is also not there. It just goes through. Nature will push, it will come to one particular level where human birth will come. So now which animal has evolved from human, which animal is in that cycle of evolution and not yet got human birth, and which animal is one who has got human birth earlier and now to exhaust some karma has come into this animal yoni, not possible to know. Very difficult. Ishwar only will know that. Jiva doesn't know. So vasanas we have cultivated through past lives, human lives. From the first human life onwards, this will happen. So karta bhokta api ahamiti dridha. When this aham becomes very strong, then this karta bhav, bhokta bhav becomes strong. And then there is samsara hetu. This is the cause of samsara. This transmigration, what was said in the earlier shloka, that anga guha pravesha, again entering into the body gufa will not happen if I get out of this bhav. But till I am in this bhav of jiva, karta, bhokta, then this samsara hetu, this will go on round and round. So vasana anadi means also the false identification with the BMI and consequent jiva bhav, alpatvam it is. This jivatma, when the consciousness identifies with the mind and intellect, and then further with the body, that jiva bhav then identified with the body, and then there is a sense of I am this body, and so now I am the bhokta, I am the karta. This is the cause of samsara or the transmigration in this world. Samsara hetu. Pratyak drishtya atmani nivasata sapaneya prayatnat. So what does a seeker have to do? Pratyak drishtya. By turning the attention within to the self, atmani nivasata, establishing oneself in the sense of identity that I am not the jiva, I am that pure consciousness, where this I is not this small I is a pure I, big, infinite I. Pratyak drishtya atmani nivasata. Sapaneya prayatnat. This sense of jiva bhav has to be removed by effort. This apanaya, it will come now. The next few, after this section, the next section is swadhya sapanayam kuru. Destroy this false identification. So sapaneya. How? By steadily identifying oneself with the self, continuous contemplation, turning the attention, not strengthening karta bhav, not strengthening bhokta bhav. prayatnat. One has to put effort. So this effort is what? If we see in spirituality, so many levels of effort are there. If you remember that cycle, vasana leads to desire, desire leads to thought, thought leads to action, action gives result, result again leads to vasana. Now this vasana has to become less, no? Prayatna is said here. How it will happen? So in that cycle, from the result to the vasana, I have to cut the link there first. Whenever I enjoy a result with the bhav that I am the bhokta, I like it, I don't like it. When we strengthen that raga and dvesh, if I like something, then I want more of it. If I don't like it, I have an aversion, I hate, or I get disturbed. That all strengthens the vasana. So first link I have to cut there. Because the vasana layer keeps becoming thicker and thicker, that pratyak drishtya will not happen. I cannot turn the attention within because my mind will be extrovert. So what to do? Prasada buddhi is the first point. That I must learn to accept results as prasada Bhagavan with equanimity. Siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. What I receive may be pleasant, may be unpleasant. What I have to do? Be equanimous. It has come by Ishwar's grace. Bhagavan is the karma phala data. On the karma phala, I have no control, but I have shraddha that whatever has come by the grace of the Lord. The Lord knows the best. Let me accept what has come. If I need to improve anything, I can do that, introspect, but no need to react. No need to strengthen this doership and enjoyership. If something good has come, let us say I achieved some success, or I got some prize, or I achieved, my goal, target. I got a house, I got a, some promotion, whatever. Success if I got, how should I respond? Definitely one feels happy, but one also must offer it to the Lord, saying it is by grace of the Lord, gratitude I have towards the Lord, surrender it to the Lord. Use that to serve the people and surrender this sense of I-ness to the Lord. So with my effort, I got. Bhagavan's grace, we got. So the response will be prasada buddhi. How we take prasad with so much of gratitude, that bhav. And if something difficult has come, again, accept it in a non-personal way, not reacting, not taking it personally, that I am a failure, I am no good, or I didn't get what I deserve, this is not what I deserve. One accepts this is what result has come. If I need to do something to consciously respond to improve myself or to even express to somebody that this is not appropriate, I can do in objective way. Then I am not reacting. I am not creating new vasana. There also one understands that some karmic reason will be there. Bhagavan has sent this challenge. Let me accept and see what best response can I give instead of impulsively reacting. So both these, siddhi and asiddhi, in the success and failure, samo bhutva, being objective, non-personal is the key. Then that vasana doesn't get strengthened because of karma phala. So karma phala, result to vasana, link has to be broken there. Action to result, that link also has to get broken. In what sense? That I cannot insist on a particular result only. I can expect a particular result and work hard. But after that, I have to surrender the anxiety for the result. Actually, I have to surrender anxiety at the beginning itself. Then only work will be done in the best way. So, action to result. I can expect a result, but I cannot insist on the result. That this is what has to happen, without this I will be miserable. No. Expect the result and work hard. As Gurudev would say, do the work for the sake of the work, not for the result. Result is a byproduct. When I do my own swadharma, when I do my own duties, and I focus on the process, not compromising on the process, enjoy every step of the process, or do it with full alertness. Not every work may be enjoyable, but do it with full alertness, involvement, and to the best of one's capabilities. Then I'm not insisting on the result, and I'm dedicating that to a higher purpose. So the dedicated action. Earlier is prasada buddhi. Now this is dedicated action. Ishvara arpana buddhi. Karma I do not to get result. Karma I do as an offering to Bhagavan. Highest form of karma yoga is that. Dedicated to the Lord. Then that restlessness to work, that I have to work will reduce. So the vasana to work will come down. To exhaust, to continuously be engaged in the world outside, the rajoguna will come down. This is called yajna bhavana, the attitude of dedication to the Lord. And in the Gita, Bhagavan says, yajnarthat karmanon yatra lokoyam karma bandhana. Whenever I act in the world with ego and egocentric desires, it will bind. Then how to act? Tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Act for the Supreme, dedicated to the Supreme. And mukta sangha, then you are free from attachment. So that action to result, that cycle has to be cut through proper dedicated attitude of dedication, yajna bhavana, dedicated to Bhagavan. Then from thought to action, how to change that? So from thought to action, we have to apply values and devotion. Yes. So the value systems, when we follow in our life, what are the good values by which we abide, which we don't compromise? There's so many list of values given in the Gita. 16th chapter gives abhayam, sattva, samshuddhi, jnana, yoga, vyavasthitihi, dhanam, dhamma, yajna, swadhyaya, tapa, arjavam, lot of values like that. When I train my mind to hold on to a certain way of thinking based on these values, I don't allow the mind to impulsively react, go into negative thinking, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. So those type of thoughts, when I don't entertain, and my thoughts are guided by good value systems, I set up proper goals based on them and identify what is my swadharma. Then the mind remains in dharmic level. So from thought to action, whatever thought I sustain, that will be my action. So I should sustain the sattvic thoughts. That's the point there. The values help us to remain at a sattvic level. Then I cut down the rajasic and tamasic. So those vasanas will stop. See, at every level we are stopping vasanas, cutting them out, the rajasic, tamasic ones. And if we have to create, we create only sattvic vasanas. So prasada buddhi, ishvara arpana buddhi, and then the values that we follow properly, train the thoughts, and in that devotion also plays a very nice role. Gurudev always said, the quantity of thoughts reduces when I have bhakti in my heart. Because when I truly love the Lord, then I'm not craving for sense pleasures outside. So devotion and values, they are an important part to ensure from thought to action we don't strengthen the vasanas. Now from desire to thought, A desire manifests in our intellect. Now to fulfill that desire, many thoughts we will entertain. So from desire to thought, what should be done? Discrimination has to be done. Vivek. That is this what I really want? When a desire manifests, that time itself I can control using Vivek. That is happiness really outside? What will I get if I indulge in this? First of all, is it dharmic or adharmic? Even if it is adharmic, it will not lead me to permanent happiness. If I have to engage in it, how do I engage so that I don't strengthen the desire again? It just should get exhausted. So this knowledge that we get in Vedanta, when we apply that Atma, Anatma Vivek, Sukh, Dukh Vivek, Shreyas, Preyas Vivek, the desire arises to get up in the morning. Now, simple example, Vivek Chudamani class, 7 o'clock, and it's raining the whole time in the night. It's very warm, it's very cozy to be in the bed. The desire says, you don't get up, the recording anyway available. Tomorrow morning we'll listen. Or through the day we'll listen. Just relax, enjoy. The desire has come. If that person does not apply Vivek at that time, that array, get up, don't give in to this laziness, enough you have already slept. The whole life has actually gone in sleeping only, not just physically, intellectually sleeping. This is to wake up. So if I push myself that way, using Vivek, which desire to give into and which not to give into. This desire for comfort, sleep, etc. should not give into that. Proper Vivek has to be done. Buddhi, the desire is arising in the Buddhi. Vivek can be done by the Buddhi. And when I live up to the convictions that I have, uncompromisingly, Satyam, then the desire to thought, certain desires only will manifest as thought. Not every desire will manifest as thought if I live in alertness in this way. I won't even entertain certain types of desires into the next level, which is by thinking about them. Because then only it will lead to action. So suppose there is a desire to do some manipulation or react or hurt somebody or put somebody down. Those desires, if I sustain the desire, then through thought process it will manifest into action. But that's where Vivek has to be. At desire level itself, choose the desire, drop the unwanted ones. Even the necessary ones, prioritize them. So that Vivek has to be done properly. Then many desires we won't entertain, they will just come as a passing thought and just go away. Then the last thing is from the vasana to the desire. Now the vasana is unmanifest. How? I cannot control this process. Vasana to desire, that can go only in the samadhi avastha. Where when one is in the state of samadhi, the vasanas are destroyed without manifesting as desire. Gurudev used to say, in the white heat of meditation. So in that white heat of meditation, these vasanas will get roasted, they will get burnt without even manifesting. So it's like the seed. So many seeds, if you roast them up, that roasted seed cannot sprout. It will not further generate anything. It is just roasted, finished. So vasana is in the seed form. The whole cycle, desire, thought, action, result is all there in that seed, in the vasana, in the unmanifest form. Now roast it. How? In that samadhi avastha, dehatma bhav goes. To that extent, dehatma bhav is gone. To what extent I am in the samadhi, for how much duration, that much vasanas just get destroyed. Now this is a method, exhausting of these vasanas. This is prayatna. So much prayatna. You see, these are different levels. Prasada buddhi, Ishwararpan bhav and yajna bhavna, and then uncompromisingly sticking on to the good values, having devotion, surrender to the Lord, so that in that there is much more acceptance. So the quantity of thoughts reduces. Then discrimination, vivek, which desire to even entertain. And last is samadhi avastha. So by this prayatna, what happens? Vasana pressure becomes less. If vasana pressure becomes less, the mind and intellect is integrated. Today the vasana is not allowing the mind to apply what the intellect knows. There's a gap between this mind and intellect, and that is the layer of vasanas. The thicker the layer of vasana, the more the quantity of vasana, the more rajasic and tamasic vasanas I have. I may know intellectually I am Brahman, but the bhav will be I am Jiva only. All that which was said earlier, no, to transform the bhav of Jiva, Brahma Tattvamasi Bhavayatmani. Contemplate that I am that pure consciousness, that Brahman. That contemplation will not be steady because vasana pressure is very strong. That vasana pressure has to reduce. So that reduction of vasana pressure is this, prayatna. In fact, Shankaracharya ji has described here, mukti itself as freedom from the vasanas. Muktim prahu tadiha munayo. He says, great munis say, what is this mukti? Vasana tanavam yat. Vasana tanavam. Tanavam means to make thin. And here it means elimination. Vasana tanavam yat. Elimination of vasanas. All vasanas destroyed, one is realized, Brahman. Now, all vasanas destroyed, how it will happen? Vasana cannot get destroyed unless the sense of incompleteness goes. Incompleteness cannot go unless there is false identification that is removed. False identification cannot go until ignorance is removed. So, by reducing the vasana pressure, one can contemplate steadily, and through steady contemplation, the knowledge of the self that rises will destroy the ignorance, the root cause of this whole thing. That is a state of liberation. So we should not just say removal of all vasanas. All vasana cannot be removed unless ignorance is removed. But vasana can be reduced to a large extent by which the mind and intellect are not disintegrated. What the intellect knows, that the mind lives. That integration is there. That person can contemplate steadily on the self. When the contemplation is all happening on the self by the buddhi, the mind also cooperates. The mind does not take the person away into the world of sense pleasures and enjoyment and brooding and some memory, some fancy. That mind cooperates. It's like when we love something, then we do it with full heart and head together. Suppose this World Cup got over, somebody loves cricket. They will watch cricket with such intensity, they don't have to be told anything. Because the heart and head all together. That is the kind of integration that we must have when we are meditating. The bhavana is for the self, thoughts also are for the self. So buddhi and bhavana, both intellect and the feeling, all directed towards the self. And no vasana pressure to go out, eat something, do something, meet somebody, nothing. Prayatnat, steady contemplation, when one puts the effort, then this will happen. Muktim prahu stadiha munayo vasana tanavam yat. This is mukti, where the vasana pressure gets reduced and then the steady contemplation destroys the avidya, that person is free. So now this is what it is, the understanding of how vasana actually makes even a very knowledgeable person not realize the self. That's why the vasana pressure has to be handled. So just by study of the Vedantic texts, vasana pressure will not go. Prayatnat, it is said here. And here the prayatna is I have given so many details for us to understand. Otherwise, actually here, the student who has come, for that student, the prayatna given here is only the last one. See, pratyak drishtya atmani nivasata sapaneya prayatna. That's the definition of prayatna here. That only by the prayatna referred here is only turning the attention within and constantly contemplating on the self, that I am that, I am not this. Only this prayatna is being referred to here. The rest of the things that we spoke about is for us to get a proper context again. This seeker has already cultivated Vivek, Vairagya, Shatka Sampati, Mumukshutvam, has come to the teacher. So, and he's done Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan. To that student, to get into the Samadhi Avastha, this is what is said, that, with effort, you keep this intellect steadily contemplating on that Brahman. Don't allow it to go into the world. So for this student, that's the prayatna. The subtlest prayatna is this. So sitting below the tree, a meditator may look as though he's doing nothing and is an unproductive person. One may even say, what a waste of time, what a waste of human potential, simply sitting below the tree. The highest prayatna, greatest effort somebody is putting if they are steadily contemplating on the self. Because it's not at all easy to, first of all, sit quietly for 10 minutes only is not easy. Then to withdraw the attention from the world outside, from the emotions, from the body, prana, ahankar, and contemplate on the Brahman, on that pure consciousness, which is nameless, formless, attributeless. And to know that that Brahman is me, not easy. How much background is required for that? How much purity of mind is required for that? So when somebody is doing that, that is the highest form of prayatna. Because that will make that person realize the infinite. No other effort can give this type of a result. Every effort will produce finite result, but contemplation will not produce infinite, but contemplation will make us realize the infinite, that I am already infinite consciousness. Nothing in the world, no action, no effort can compare to what is contemplation. And what result contemplation will lead to. And hence it is that this is a prayatna that will help us to remove the vasana. Here it is then dehatma bhav. What was said here, na? Karta, anadi vasana, esha. This anadi vasana, which is the dehatma bhav, which leads to kartritva, which leads to bhoktritva, which then leads to samsara hetu, birth and death. So birth and death cycle, we just saw this cycle and how to cut at each level. That is for our understanding and clarity. Here the shloka is not saying all these points. Shloka is only saying this is the cause of samsara. So through steady contemplation, cut the ignorance, free yourself. That is vasana tanavam yat. That is mukti. That is freedom. Now this portion, because it is on vasanas and how to eliminate them, this thought process is what is the foundation. Now let's see ahead. Aham mameti yo bhavaha dehakshadanatmani adhyaso yam nirastavyaha vidusha swatmanisthaya. Aham mameti yo bhavaha. This I and mine, which we entertain. Dehaksha davanatmani. Deha aksha adav, meaning in this body, eyes means senses. Deha akshav, dehaksha adav, atmani, in the atma, meaning I am considering this body, this senses, all these as this I. This is adhyasa. False superimposition is called adhyasa. As means to throw. Adhyasa means I have fallen from the heights of pure consciousness to this level of the body. And this adhyasa goes by sannyasa. Sannyasa also is to throw. Through what? Throw away this false identification. From the infinite, I've fallen to this level, that is adhyasa. From this level, again I have to rise up, that is sannyasa. And this adhyasa goes by abhyas, constant abhyas of aham, what was said earlier, no? Brahma tattvamasi bhavayatmani. That constant abhyas of this Brahma tattvamasi bhavayatmani or any mahavakya will help to rise from this adhyas to the level of the self back. This is what has to be done, is said here. Adhyasoyam nirastavya. Drop this adhyasa. Vidusha, by this wise seeker, swatma nishtaya, by attaining nishtha that I am pure consciousness. So what we have studied, that I am Brahman, that bhav that I am jiva, can go only by this swatma nishtaya. And that swatma nishtha comes by steady contemplation. So that is what has to be done. The wrong knowledge, which is adhyasa, has to go by the right knowledge, which is the Shravan and Manan. And that it is not just the knowledge, it is the feeling that I am the jiva, that has to go by nididhyasana. So this is called adhyaso nirastavyaha. Aham and mama. This I, when it is projected in the world, becomes mine. So my children, my wife, my home, my money, my this, my that, my body. So this aham only extended is a mama. And this aham, the false notion of aham is called adhyasa. The notion of the self in the not self is called adhyas technically. In the next shloka that is defined that. Anatmani atma buddhi. That which is anatma, which said here also. Deha akshavadi anatmani yo bhavaha. That is called adhyas. What is not self, to think of it as the self, and what is the self, not to know it. That is called adhyas. Now I have at least come to know intellectually that I am not this BMI, I am the self. That intellectual conviction in that knowledge will come through Manan, but the application of it in terms of reducing and removing the Jiva Bhav will come through Nididhyasan alone, not by any amount of logic, not by any amount of study of books, commentaries, nothing. Only through steady contemplation. So the Jiva Bhav cannot go with thoughtlessness also. It cannot go by intellectual arguments. It cannot go by logic. It can only go by steady contemplation and the ability to drop. Nirastavya, it is said. So you have to drop, destroy. How to destroy? By constantly contemplating, I am Brahman, I am pure consciousness, I am nothing else. So that's why this Shravan Manan Nididhyasan. So this is the basic vasana. What people call in the Bible, etc., they call it as the original sin. What is the original sin? Not knowing who am I and identifying with the BMI, that is the original sin. The original vasana is that. Now again, this original thing is only for us to understand because our buddhi wants to know. But if you say first vasana, what was it? If you remember in the last shloka, I said vasana anadiresha. It is beginningless. Because time comes after vasana. So how will we explain the beginning, which was the first vasana in the beginning? At the first vasana, there was no time. Time comes into play only when mind comes into play. So that's why Anadi Vasana. When did this Brahman become the Jiva? The time was not there at that time. And second point of that question is that question assumes that Brahman actually became the Jiva. When did the rope produce the snake? Rope never produced the snake actually. So we cannot ask you what was the first vasana, when did this thing happen? That's an intellectual question, but has no relevance. It is anadi, it is beginningless, but it will end. With the right knowledge, the delusion will end. At what time did I start dreaming? If I ask, how can that be answered? They are two different planes of consciousness. From waking to dream when I go, What time did I start dreaming? That we cannot tell while going into the dream and then while being inside the dream. It's a beginningless time. And then when I wake up, then I realize it has ended, was. There was no point in inquiring when it began, what happened, nothing. Whatever past vasana is there, so many lives, human lives have accumulated. Now at least I have come to satsang, I have the right knowledge. Past influence may be there. With the right knowledge, I don't get carried away by it, I just let it pass and keep my focus on I am Brahman. That is the sadhana that one has to do. So that is what he said here. Adhyasoyam nirastavya. Drop this false identification that I am this body, I am this jiva, I am this senses. Aham mameti yo bhava. Gurudev used to say, grow up, stop sucking the thumb. And when one is a child, one goes on sucking the thumb. What joy one gets out of that? Every child will try and do that. It's just a thumb. There's no joy, nothing, no juice, nothing coming out of it. But so Gurudev used to say, grow up, stop sucking the thumb, stop indulging in the world of objects, emotions, and thoughts. And that is the mama. Drop this identification of object, emotion, thought. Then I can drop the identification of aham, perceiver, feeler, and thinker also. How? Because I am not the BMI. This I am not the BMI, if I keep doing, then I am not the PFT will happen. That requires me to remove my hand, meaning my mind should not be engaged in the world of OET. Then this steady contemplation cannot happen. If we take that example little more ahead, the child who goes on sucking the thumb feels very happy, but actually the body is not getting nourished properly. If the child has to eat proper food, the child has to remove this, then the only proper food can be given. In the same way here, as long as we are engaged in the world of OET, if I have not removed this, the proper food of Brahmagyan cannot be fed. Until that Brahmagyan is not fed, that child will not be, strong. In the same way here, the seeker cannot be strong without steady contemplation on Brahman. That food has to go inside. That means I have to remove the mind away from object, emotion, and thought. This seeker is already doing that. But those who are not doing that, who study Vedant, but who are continuing to suck the thumb. Study Vedant, but still engage in the world of OET in a passionate way, not wanting to give up. See, what duties I have to do, that I have to do. That is not being told here. But that extrovertedness, the mind wanting, craving, sense enjoyments more and more, then this is opposite. Or at mental level, rag and dvesh and attachment and aversion, and I don't want to let it go. I can't forgive some people. I'll call sucking the thumb. From those things one has to withdraw. Rigid ideas. Intellectually, I am very rigid in the thinking, not ready to accept what the Shastra is saying. Then all that is called sucking the thumb. Till that doesn't stop, this abhyasa will not happen. Adhyasa will continue that I am this jiva only. So what should a wise person do? Remove this aham and mama bhav and then steadily contemplate on Brahman. Swatmanistha should be obtained and destroy this adhyasa. The next one. Jnatva svam pratyagatmanam buddhi tadvritti sakshinam sohamityeva sadvritya anatmanyatma matim jahi. So the last line here is again the definition of adhyas. Anatmani atmamati. In what is not self, if I think of it as the self, that is called adhyasa. Anatmani atma buddhi is called adhyas. Jahi, drop that. How? Jnatva swam pratyagatmanam. Having known the self, which is the innermost self. You see, I don't know in your book whether there is a dot above Jnatva. Above Va, if there is a dot in your book, you remove that. That is not, that's a mistake. Jnatva, it cannot have a dot above. Jnatvam, it cannot be. It is Jnatva. Having done something. Jnatva means that. Having known. Kritva means having done. Gatva, having gone. So it is tva pratyaya. It is not, should not be there. So, jnatva swam pratyagatmanam. Having known the self, innermost self. Jnatva swam pratyagatmanam buddhi tadvritti sakshinam. Knowing this self and knowing it to be the sakshi of the buddhi and all the thought that rise in it. With this bhav, soham iti eva sadvritya, constantly knowing that I am that self. Meaning, knowing that I am that pure consciousness. And what does that consciousness do? Enlivens the BMI. So it is the sakshi of the activities of the BMI. It is not affected by the BMI. Here it is intellect which is given. Buddhi and tadvritti sakshi. Which is the mind, the thoughts and the emotions, etc. So buddhi, its own thoughts, emotions, all these. And by indication, body and its actions, all these things. Know that I am that sakshi, I am that self. I am not this equipment, the body, mind and intellect. So the word swam pratyagatmanam, actually all of them mean the same. Swam, yourself. Pratyag, inner self. Atmanam, again the self. Having known, so 3 times it is given to again and again emphasize that our nature is that. And then 4th time it says soham. That self is me. So many times again and again, why is it said? Because our buddhi always objectifies everything. Oh, there must be some self out there. It considers it other than oneself. So the buddhi always objectifies. So the bottle is separate from me, this table is separate from me, this laptop is separate from me. Like that self must be something else. So no, know that self to be your own true nature, inner self it is. Pratyagatmanam. And what does it do? It is a sakshi of what? Buddhi and all the vrittis. Good, bad, all the vrittis, they will all come in the intellect. But I am the sakshi of them. I am not affected by them at all. If you see the commentary of Gurudev, the last paragraph, in the last paragraph, from the middle, Gurudev has said, I am not this assemblage of equipments. I am that, the consciousness, the witness of equipment and their function. This idea, Brahmakara Vritti, should be kept alive during the entire period of our waking state. See that? Now, this is the effort. It is not only in the withdrawn state, but even when I am acting in the world, this one part has to be constantly thinking, I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. Entire period of our waking state. This too is a thought. Somebody asked that, but this too also is a thought. I am a sakshi of the equipment is also a thought. Then what to do? How will I realize the self? A thought is observing thought. Then, see the answer he gives. The understanding arising out of this thought is also limited knowledge, somebody says, vritti jnana. So the answer is, but with this right thought in the intellect, the wrong thought is removed. I am Jiva is removed by I am Brahman. Now see why he said 24 hours we have to maintain this. Because it cannot be that I am Brahman for half an hour in the day and then the 23.5 hours I am Jiva only. Then Jiva Bhav is more stronger. Brahma Vasana has to be created. In Atmabodh it said, Evam Nirantar Abhyasta Brahmaivasmiti Vasana Harati Avidya Vikshepan Roganiva Rasayana. Like the medicine destroys the disease fully, this thought that I am Brahman, Nirantar Abhyasta, same thing is said here. Through the day, if I continuously maintain this bhav that I am Brahman, in contemplation also, there though in a withdrawn state I am experiencing it, so that it strengthens. And that I continue through the day. No, that is very difficult, not possible. It is possible. Suppose you see a movie and you see it with such intensity, and especially a song in that is your favorite song. Then even after the movie is over, for the next 3-4 days, that song goes on coming into the mind. One keeps humming that song also. In the same way, with that intensity, when I meditate, I am Brahman, that process, that thought, I am Brahman will continue through the day also. Example of the song, it may be unconscious or conscious, but here it has to be only consciously. One part keeps thinking, I am Brahman, doesn't allow this Jiva Bhav to strengthen. To that extent, I maintain that Brahma Bhav, it will remove this Asad Vritti. When thus you practice on, along the feeling I am the body, mind and intellect is destroyed. Here again, you are replacing one thought with another thought, but even this limited knowledge removes the false assumption that the not self is the self. That's what will happen. It will remove. The right thought will remove the wrong thought, wrong identification, and then this right thought also by itself will go away. Brahman alone remains then. So that is the abhyasa that the student has to do. Now he goes on to say that for this abhyas, what type of vasanas are that which are an obstacle? In general, the vasanas are so many, innumerable they are. But these vasanas also are classified. So here is one type of classification, you see. 270. Lokanuvartanam tyaktva dehanuvartanam shastranuvartanam tyaktva swadhyasapanayam kuru. So 3 types of vasanas. Loka vasana, vasana for popularity, praise, applause, achievement, recognition, Loka vasana. Deha vasana, tyaktva dehanuvartana. Deha vasana, I am this body, and the demands of the body are my demands. Making the body enjoy is my enjoyment. That is Deha vasana. And then Shastra vasana. Lot of books I must study, read, commentaries, logical arguments, publish new books, become a great reputed scholar or an author or any such thing. Shastra vasana. Tyaktva. He says, give up all the 3. Deha vasana, Loka vasana, Shastra vasana. Now, Shastra vasana give up doesn't mean don't study scripture. Shastra vasana give up means that the scholastic bent of mind which is there, where one is more interested in the theories, that this theory is better than that. More interested in logical arguments, who is better, Advaita is better, Advaita is better. Not doing with the attitude of, once I understand Advaita is the highest, then I want to realize that. With that bhav, one doesn't do. One does it with another thing, that see, I proved the supremacy of this theory. This is my conviction. I defeated all people. That is Shastra vasana then. That one gets stuck into this. So Deha vasana, Shastra vasana, Loka vasana, these 3 one has to drop, because these will create obstacles. In steady contemplation, these 3 are the classification of vasanas. How each of them will create this obstruction, the details of it we will take up tomorrow. Any questions in today's session?
Yeah, Namaste Swamiji. Verse 267 talks about Manonasha. Now, Manonasha, does it mean that Ashubh Vasanas are reduced?
No. Manonasha means destruction of the bhav that I am the mind. Ashubha Vasana reduces only one part of Manonasha. Whole manas has to be destroyed. No, that I am this jiva, Mr. So and so. That's what he's saying. Vasana tanavam yat.
Okay.
Not only the good vasana, bad vasanas, because Ashubha Vasana, if we reduce, that is a transformation from negative to positive, but it is still limited. No, jiva bhav is still there. I am Mr. So and so is still there. It's just that I am in a better state, positive state. This is talking about dropping that very jiva bhav itself.
Okay. Thank you.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.